I'm Susan Odell. Welcome to the Foodell Kitchen. Knives. They're really important, and they're the second most important tool you can have in your kitchen, the first being your own little hands. When you go to buy a knife, you need to look for a few things. And the first is you want a good blade that's made out of high carbon steel and that's stain resistant. You want it to be forged rather than molded. You also want to make sure the blade goes all the way through the handle so you have a full tang on the blade. The handle should be made out of a really high quality synthetic or a good quality wood so it resists getting germs in there and so you can keep it for a really long time. And finally, you want it to be comfortable in your hand. The three knives that are the most important for you to have in your kitchen are a chef's knife, a serrated knife, and a paring knife. Let's have a look at the chef's knife. This chef's knife that I've been holding up is a 10-inch chef's knife. It's very long. 10 inches is measured from the bolster, where you hang on to it, to the tip of the knife. This is really good for chopping parsley and some other big jobs that you've got in the kitchen, but it can be a little unwieldy for some people, so be sure you pick it up and try it. Go to a good store that knows about knives when you're shopping. This is an 8-inch chef's knife, exactly the same, 2 inches shorter. And this is a 6-inch. Some people are a lot more comfortable starting out with a shorter blade. There's also something that's not really a chef's knife. It's called a santoku knife, but it does the same job as a chef's knife. It's also hollow ground is another word for it, santoku or hollow ground, because it's got these little divots along the side. Might be a more comfortable knife if you're not used to knives at all. If you want to start out using something like this, it's a little more comfortable in the hand and it might be a little more forgiving. Now, a serrated knife. Serrated knives are important because, of course, you've got to cut your bread, you want to cut your cakes, anything delicate you want to use a serrated knife for. It's just a really important knife that you can't really substitute with anything else, so you got to have one around. As far as the paring knife goes, you want this for small jobs. This goes for coring tomatoes and maybe chopping up very fine garlic or ginger, very small things. You need a small knife to do the right job. You've got to have the right tools to make it easier for you in the kitchen. I've gathered my knives over years of culinary experience. I bought a set in culinary school. Some of those are still good. Some of them I've given away. But most of my knives come from Henckels. Henckels has a good variety of brands. They've got a lower end quality that is molded rather than forged. So try and stay away from that if you can afford it. And look for their forged varieties. Try the Henckels Classic or their Twin series. And the better your tools are, the better your knives are, the more fun you're going to have in the kitchen and the more you're going to cook. Bon appetit.